has only been a supremacy movement that has been based on two things, and it's not equality, it's restitution and retribution for this perceived wrongs throughout history.
You know, feminism made me miss racism.
Well, don't you know it's the same thing?
I mean, if it does, bro, I got somebody for you to debate.
Okay, that was good.
I got somebody for you to debate.
Wait, let me break it down. Let me break it down. Because I sat back in my head one day and I said, who's like a feminist that really fought for this? When did this start? And I was like, holy shit, they were fighting for feminism when they had slaves. I was like, oh shit, it's happened again in history. It was way before this.
You're not wrong.
And again, and again. And I was like, wait, you're telling me that none of these bitches had to cook, clean. It would have just been my ancestors, and they still weren't happy. I was like, you know what? I give up. I'm not trying to make any woman happy. That's when I officially just checked the fuck out.
That makes so much sense.
Nigga, I was done.
That is so good.
I'm done.
Okay,
And that's why. But even with the high value woman, look, the truth be told is this: she'll make time for whatever she really wants, and put it like this. It's a woman I know. I'm dealing with many, but. One of them.
He's never single. He's got like.
Yeah, there it is. He's gotcha. He's gotcha.
She's a very intelligent girl. Very intelligent girl. Gotcha, bitch. She does like coding and financing for some company now.
Oh, that's why you said
over
that.
on the West Coast.
Okay.
No, but there's a couple girls I mess with like that though.
Okay.
And beautiful girl. Do you know how much free time she really has? Like it's ridiculous.
I'd say a
Like,
9 to 5.
She works
When
like
you
2
have a
days.
baby and they're waking up, you can't just leave them to go to your 9 to 5.
I promise to God, no. I don't think you understand like her schedule. She only has to come into work 2 times out of the entire week. Other than that, she's just working on her laptop.
Yeah, I'm not saying
I
don't
believe
work,
a
but I'm
housewife
saying if you're a doctor,
can do can bring an income as well. But like you were saying earlier, why don't you just help with his company? Because my skill set is different than his, and it's more efficient for me to do what I'm good at, and for him to do what he's good at. Like for me to go beyond the job, and like I'm not very efficient. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so if I bring income in what I'm good at, and we work together to like create something that we can bring kids into like a non-broke situation, that's kind of where we're at now.
See, I'm all for corporate pimping, right? I think Sharp is straight. Like I don't know. He never said he's a pimp on camera, but
allegedly,
right? Allegedly, I don't want to get the man locked up. But what I'm saying is this: like, look, see, I'm for it. I want my girl to go out and go make some money, please. And if you're gonna make some money, please make a big ass bag every year and put it in my hand. That's all I'm asking.
Amy.
See, and that's why I fight for the women who really make the bag. Now, look, if she don't make a bag,
I think I lost it already.
I
changed like 3 times.
I have one thing.
I know you had something.
Ready, guys? Hear it. At what year could African Americans vote? Anybody? The 15th Amendment was ratified.
18. No, not 18.
The 15th Amendment was ratified.
Come on, Tiffany, you know this.
I don't know it. Don't look at me. Everybody look at me because I'm black. Don't do that.
1816, I think. 1816.
The 50s.
It's not going to be 1860. The Civil War was 1865.
They got to vote.
Very recent.
The 15th Amendment was ratified on February 3rd, 1870.
Oh, damn.
I got the 18 right.
When could women vote?
Oh, I know that. I know that.
1921.
Huh?
1920 year.
August 18th.
Close.
1920.
1920.
So we let African Americans vote 50 years before we let women. You can do with that what you will. You can come up with whatever.
As a black guy, my perspective, that's why I have to back you. So y'all want to know? There you go. Bingo. Boom. I know the truth.
I have a question though, like regarding feminism. Why do we still need it in America?
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
I actually wish you hoes would stop messing with that shit.
That part.
It's like messing with crack. Crack isn't good for you, but women love crack.
Listen,
it's addictive.
I feel like
I wasn't done on my thought though, respectfully, because if we have feminists in America, why aren't they feminists for women in Saudi Arabia? Why aren't they feminists for women in Afghanistan?
Because
I'm dead fucking serious.
Hey, listen,
we have everything in this fucking country.
I can tell you why.
But I think feminism killed traditional gender roles,
well,
and that's
it's
what makes
kind
women
of come
more
back
masculine.
around and bit itself in the ass.
Feminism,
I'm curious.
Feminism was never about equality. It was only about retribution and restitution. That's all it's about.
Revenge.
I'm curious.
It's never been about equality.
100 years ago, would you have found some commonality with first wave feminism?
No, none at all.
None at all.
And
I'm
I'll
just curious.
tell you why, because people don't know the history. That's why.
Okay, all right.
So when people talk about like, oh, there's first wave, second wave, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They couldn't even tell you like what the difference is between like second and third wave feminism, but they sure as shit know what first wave feminism was, which was the suffragette movement. Okay, so you got to remember that, and this is where it's tracked historically, is from 1849 Seneca Falls, when they was the I forget the girl's name, but anyways, that's the Seneca Falls convention where they had the articles of grievances and stuff. And so you got to remember, from right about, let's just round it off, 1850 until 1920, when they got the right to vote, you're looking at 70 fucking years, okay?
Damn.
And it's not just in the United States, it's also in Europe, it's also in Britain, it's all over the place. And when you have to remember that when women were disallowed the right to vote, it was not because they were necessarily property, it's because that their husbands were responsible for the decisions and the actions of that woman and their children. So if she commits a criminal act, the husband is responsible. Nobody wants to talk about that shit. Back then, there's also was it the covenant laws? I can't remember the name. I'm trying to remember the actual term, but it's like women will always say, well, women couldn't own property. No, they could own property back then. It was somebody will give it to me, but it was the laws that were on books was that a woman could own property as long as she wasn't married. If she was married to a man, then all the rights of if she inherited a business from her family, if she had money, if she had land, all of that would be transferred over to the husband if she were to get married. If she were to stay single, she would stay there and she could control it all she wanted to, because it was the legalities and the responsibilities of the husband to be responsible for the decisions of that woman. So if that woman were to have that business and it went bankrupt, she would not be responsible for it. The husband
he cleans up the mess,
would be
which is why there was
responsible for
duels
it.
and that type of stuff.
So that's one thing. So as not unlike today, women had more financial freedom, had more like personal freedom outside of marriage than they did inside of marriage. Now men have more freedom outside of marriage and more direct control and power over their lives than they do inside of marriage. That's one of the major reasons I talk about how I am all for marriage. I've been married for 27.
He just dropped the fucking truth bomb.
I've been married for 27 years. Okay, so I'm not against marriage, but I am against the way we do it now, and that is precisely one of the big reasons I am, because men have more power, freedom. They have more direct authority and control over their lives and over their businesses too, by the way, because what's the first thing that gets divvied up in a really ugly divorce? The guy's businesses. The guy's and then another thing, how does that affect that man's business? So if he gets into a divorce, his wife almost takes the business away from him. How many people want to invest in his next project because he's made some really bad decisions in his personal life and they don't want to lose their investments? So there's a lot of other things that go along with it's not just about, I'm going to lose half my stuff. No, there's so much more attached to that. That's children, family, businesses, friends, your kids, your grandkids are all going to be affected by whether or not you picked the right woman. You didn't vet right, and what we do when something like when it goes sour it goes into a divorce, we tell the guy, you didn't vet right, you didn't pick the right one. Oh, she was or maybe you did something right. You need to be better next time. So when you do get remarried, then you won't make the same mistakes. It's all on you. It's like, well, that's also part of the whole pie. So like when people say like I'm against marriage, or I'll have to deal with like traditional conservatives like giving me shit about stuff, I'm like, it's not just I'm going to lose half my stuff. No, that is just the tip of the fucking iceberg for that stuff. So as far as feminism is concerned, there are no waves of feminism. There's no first, second, or third wave. It's all the same fucking thing from 1849 all the way up to 2023 right now. The only difference is the impetus and the push for the movement that is feminism was interrupted by world wars, by social unrest, by the Bolsheviks, and whatever throughout the course of history, whatever interrupted that. Sort of put that on hold right up until 1965, where we have the invention of hormonal birth control, and all bets have been off since then. So I'm working on a book right now called 1971, because that's about right where all this shit goes south. But but see, the one thing that brought the preeminence of feminism sort of to the surface was putting the control of reproduction unilaterally in control of women. They're the ones who decide who gets born. That's why it's her body, her choice. Right up until the sexual revolution, you would never hear anything like that. Was it reproductive rights? We have, abortion on demand. That's another. It's a fail-safe for bad reproductive choices. So it puts a fail-safe in the hands of women, solely in the hands of women. If men have anything to say, they got no seat at the table, quote unquote, when it comes out. So when we're talking about feminism, it's not first wave, second wave, whatever. The first wave suffragettes were considered terrorists back then. They were responsible for bombing police precincts, churches. They were plotted assassination attempts against political leaders at the time who opposed the suffragette movement. They were, in some cases, very hostily racist. It was like votes for white women but not for black women.
Oh, I know.
And so throughout the course of history, it has only been a supremacy movement that has been based on two things, and it's not equality. It's restitution and retribution for this perceived wrongs throughout history, and based on pretty much what is like, we'll say it's oppression or anything else. No, men and women have been oppressed throughout history. We only look at women because women are the vulnerable sex. They're the ones that need protection from men. Men are the disposable sex. Women are the vulnerable sex. So like when women say they hate to be called the weaker sex, no, but you are the vulnerable sex because you have children, your reproductive costs, and your...
We're just physically not as strong.
Well, and we are fundamentally different.
Well, if you got pregnant, you couldn't really be fighting off
the biggest
we think
problem,
emotionally too.
The biggest problem with feminism right now is this lie that is based on equality. That equality idea is based on the blank slate, meaning that like everybody's a blank slate and we're all the same. That's how you get transgenderism. That's how you get all the rest of this stuff. And it's this belief, that fundamental belief that that human beings are like exactly the same, rather than like we are fundamentally, biochemically, psychologically, neurologically different from one another.
For very good a reason.
We're not the same. We're not. Men and women are not equal.
Because what's equal? That's the principle of equality. See, when I was on Dr. Phil and I got asked that question. They're like, you don't believe in equality? I'm like, no, I do not believe in equality, because you need to define terms. What's the challenge? What's the context of that equality? If it's childbirth, I can't give birth because I'm a biological male. But if I am made to feel that it's so unfair and I'm oppressed that I need to have some surgical thing done to me, or I got to create a new Kickstarter fund to like fund my protests about not being able to. That's I would never even occur to me, right? But the challenge is childbirth. Only women can have children. Okay, there are only two sexes. There are only two genders. Thank you very much. But the thing is that within that context, like for instance, if it comes to like say, throwing a baseball or something, men have a natural proclivity to be able to throw a ball with more force, but more accuracy, and put their shoulders into it, like just without even being taught to do that, because it's just something innate to the human male.
That's kind of where feminism falls through, is they advocate for transgender men and women's sports, and that's where it's just
because the argument is it's because the psychology is smashing headlong into reality. That's why, and they can't hold up the line anymore.
It falls through.
Well, but the long and short of this is that depending on what the challenges or the context is, what are we talking about equality? Okay, because there's certain things that I'm going to be better at being a biological male in the way I think and the things that I do than say what she's going to be. Now, she has strengths and talents and that are innate to being female that I don't have. So we're innate complements to one another, evolved complements to one another. The biggest problem with feminism, why do we still have feminism today, is because we still believe in this horse shit that we're all the same and they're all blank slates and they ain't we're just the plumbing's different. Get the fuck out.
Well, what's funny